It is day 4 of our Secret Sergeant writing project, and what if I told you that today you weren't actually a writer? Today you are an editor, and your only job is to look at your writing with a fine-tooth comb. And today I'm going to teach you an acronym, a little trick to help us remember how to make our writing perfectly polished. And that is by saying COPS. C-O-P-S. C for capitals, O for organization, P for punctuation, and S for spelling. What that means are those are the 4 main categories that create perfect, polished writing. And if we have all of those 4 categories taken care of, then our writing is ready to go on to its final draft. So the first letter in COPS is C for capitals. So what I'm going to do first is check my work for any capital letters that I may have missed. So as a reminder, I need to use capital letters at the beginning of a sentence. For proper nouns, those are names of places, people, and things. And then finally, whenever I use the word I. So now looking at my writing, I'm going to go through and check and see if there's any capital letters that I missed. Now I'm going to use my tools, and I am going to underline with 3 lines any letters that need capitalization. So let's see. I am 27 years old. I was born on November 2nd, 1993. I'm noticing that November should have a capital N, so I'm marking 3 underlined lines. For fun, I enjoy crafting with my Cricut machine, and I like to spend time with my friends. I am interested in technology. One day, I want to code an app. Okay, so at the start of this sentence, I should have a capital letter. So I am going to draw 3 lines underneath that letter. I have dark blonde hair and blue eyes. Something unique about me is that I wear glasses. Again, I forgot to capitalize the starting letter. I have an older brother named Billy and an older sister named Maggie. Whoa, lots of capitalization errors here. First, I have to capitalize the letter I when I talk about myself. And then I have 2 proper nouns. I have 2 names in here. I have the name of my brother, and I have the name of my sister. I live with my husband Eli and my dog Archie. My favorite food is sushi, and my favorite color is mint blue. Who am I? All right, from here, I have fixed all of my capitalization errors. So the letter C in COPS is taken care of. Now let's check on the next letter. Next is organization, and really organization is best used when we're writing on paper and pencil. For my example, I mainly typed on a computer, so a lot of the organization won't apply to my work. But if you wrote with pencil and paper, really pay attention to your letter spacing, if you used neat handwriting, and all writers can pay attention to whether or not they used complete sentences and if they indented their paragraphs. Indenting your paragraphs means that you tab or make a big space with your first sentence of the paragraph. So we need to do that in ours. Now my writing is only 1 paragraph, but I did not indent the first line. That means I did not create a large space by hitting the tab button at the top of my writing. So I'm going to draw this arrow to make a note to myself that when I do my final draft, I'm going to have to hit tab before my first sentence. The P in COPS stands for punctuation. Did we end our sentences with an ending mark? Did we use the correct kind of punctuation? These are the mistakes that we want to check for. So I'm going to go back to my writing and see how my punctuation looks. So checking over my work, I want to make sure that every time I finish a thought, I include an ending mark. I am 27 years old, period. I was born on November 2nd, 1993, period. For fun, I enjoy crafting with my Cricut machine and I like to spend time with my friends, period. So notice I'm including commas every time I want the reader to take a brief pause, and I'm using ending marks every time I finish my thought. but my writing isn't perfect. Let's take a look at this sentence. One day, I want to code an app. I have dark blonde hair and blue eyes. These are two totally different thoughts. One day I want to code an app is one thought, and I have dark blonde hair and blue eyes is a totally different thought. So I'm going to use a period to mark where I need to separate those two thoughts. So I drew that punctuation mark and I circled it to show myself where to include it later on. The last letter, the letter S in COPS, stands for spelling, and this is where things can get tricky. As friends who are working away from our teachers, at times it can be hard to figure out when we're spelling words correctly or incorrectly, but we have a whole world of tools that we can use. For one, we can always check our class virtual word wall in our virtual hallway. If any words we've studied throughout the school year are included in our writing, we can find a place to spell it. Two, we can access a dictionary. Dictionaries exist in large books, but thankfully with technology, dictionaries exist online. We can search the spelling for words using our iPads and our internet. Number three, one of the best ways to check and see if your spelling is correct is to have a friend read your work. When a friend reads your work, they can catch those mistakes that maybe you aren't seeing yourself. So looking at my writing, I'm noticing that I have made some mistakes, and I bet that you've spotted them along the way. For example, the word friends is spelled wrong. Anytime I spell a word wrong, I want to circle it, and I want to include the correct way to spell it on the side. The word friends has the sneaky letter I in between the R and the E. So I'm going to spell friends correctly towards the side so that when I come back to do my final draft, I can spot exactly where that spelling error was. Now that we've gone through all the letters of COPS, it's time for you to take a look at your own writing. Keep in mind, if you have already submitted your writing in your rough draft, you can't go back and make these marks on Seesaw. But if you wrote on a piece of paper, you can. So if you wrote your rough draft on Seesaw, go back and look through and make notes on a piece of paper of the edits you're going to have to make when we go back tomorrow for our final draft. If you wrote this on a piece of paper and took a picture of it, you can actually go in your writing and you can make these editing marks on it. Now, keep in mind, just because we're editing doesn't mean that we're ready to dive into our final draft. Our job tomorrow will be to dive into that final draft. Your only job today is to be an editor. Either take notes on the writing that you made on Seesaw or make those notes on your writing that you did on a piece of paper. And when we come back tomorrow, we will write our final draft of our Secret Sergeant project.